unless you are fulfilled, you will use your children to complete you. You will teach them how to live with, number one, your unacknowledged fears. So we have fears and we have unacknowledged fears.
Hey everybody, my name is Angie Murenga. You're watching Just Angie. It's Lifestyle Thursday. It's really good to have you listening and watching what we're saying. Lifestyle Thursday has become very popular and I'm very encouraged. So today I have a guest. I've actually never met you. So this is our first time to meet even on set. So I'm really grateful. Thank you for honoring my invitation.
Sure.
If you could introduce yourself to my guest and then we'll have a conversation.
Okay, so my name is Dr. Carol. I am a mom, first and foremost. I'm a mom to a 12-year-old, going on 35. Sometimes that's how it then, well, aunt to a bunch of nieces and nephews. A therapist by profession. So, and I'll get into that pretty much later as we are getting into it, but I'm a therapist. Been working with families for over 15 years. The last 5 years working specifically with parents, and then I took on the title of parenting coach. So I say I'm a mom, a therapist, and a parenting coach. Yes.
Wow, that's a lot. Thank you. And I'm so grateful because I think that's what we need.
Yes.
What got me is I received this as a gift from the lady from Moms Giving Africa. They gave me a gift bag, and I was like intrigued by the title because it says, "Parenting with your heart in mind." A candid peek into a parent's heart. And for me, I thought, wow, you know, this has come late. My daughter is now 26, so I don't know who I'm going to do this with. So parenting with your heart in mind.
Yes.
And I thought that is so amazing, so that we can parent from the heart. So I'm going to ask you, maybe there's a place I've opened and I'm like, how did I open to that? So I don't know whether to start with that or start with how your journey started.
Go for it. I will.
Okay, so I've just opened the book randomly, and I loved it. It said triggers. So that's where I opened to my triggers, and then it says day 4, the trendy genre of current circumstances, and this is what I opened. Unless you are fulfilled, you will use your children to complete you. You will teach them how to live with your unacknowledged fears, your rejected emptiness, I mean, ouch, doctor, your forgotten lies, all the while unaware that you are doing this. And this is by Dr. Shefali Sabari.
Yes.
That is like straight to the heart.
I know, and it
What
is
that
so
about?
interesting, Angie, because that's the core. I don't know even how you got
I
to
just
that
did
page.
it.
Because
I just opened it. I said, let me just see. Opened it.
Yeah.
And there it is. And I'm thinking, wow, did I have to open to that particular page?
that forms the basis of the work that I do. That quote right there.
Wow.
And Dr. Shefali is a parenting coach. He's also a psychologist, and she's done a lot of work with parents, and I borrow a lot of the concepts I use also from her. But then, you know, yes, unless you are fulfilled, you will use your children to complete you. You will teach them how to live with, number one, your unacknowledged fears. So we have fears and we have unacknowledged fears. Fears we are not even aware of, or we are not capable. It's not that we have refused, we just don't have the capability to acknowledge them yet.
Wow.
Okay, and in mental health we say whatever you don't acknowledge, you will never heal from. So because you don't heal from it, when does childhood strike again? Because most of these things happen to us when we are young. And because children, as human beings, we focus on, we focus on looking for pleasure and avoiding pain. So as a child, you look for all the pleasure, whatever is pleasurable, and whatever is painful, you avoid it, or you suppress it. So if things didn't work out when you're growing up, you suppress them. But then you haven't dealt with them. You know, there's this phrase people like to say that children are resilient. I say children are not resilient. They have the capability, they do not have the ability to process difficult situations. So they quickly move on, but they haven't processed them. And so when do those things happen? When do they come again? When we have children, not just, in fact, there's a difference between someone who is an adult dealing with childhood issues and a parent dealing with childhood issues. Because as a parent, you have no choice. That's when you have no choice. They will come. Children become a mirror for the things we haven't dealt with. Yeah.
That is so true.
So we teach them to live with those fears. We teach our children to live with our rejected emptiness. The spaces along life where we have been rejected, where we didn't get things didn't turn out the way. And somewhere at the back of your mind, you make a decision unconsciously, my child will not go through this. And then finally, forgotten past. Or forgotten lies. That's the third thing. Forgotten lies are now.
Who forgot? We forgot the lies.
Yes,
really.
We forgot them. We forgot them because they were too painful to manage. We've just jumped into being so deep. I hope that's okay.
That's good. That's good. We're flowing.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, we flow. So this is flowing.
Yeah. So the things that happened in the past that you made decisions, or you developed beliefs about them, like I'm unworthy, or children should be seen and not heard, or discipline has to be full of drama for it to be effective. Those are things that we grow up with without knowing. And so when children come, when we get children, our children trigger those things. And that's why the book is a lot about the triggers in us. And I don't want to paint such a terrible picture to think that there's...
It is terrible. I think it's about 90, I would say 90% terrible, if not 70.
Hopefully by the time we get to the end, we'll have some hopeful space. But all that happens while unaware we are doing so. And that's the tragedy, Angie, that we are unaware. We are teaching our children to live with these things. We've made decisions, my child will not ever do this. And I work with parents and the light bulb moments just come. They begin to see how they have been forcing their kids to do some things, swimming or playing the piano. Someone told me they have a piano that's been collecting dust in the house. It's very, very expensive. But when they go back, they remember the way, when they were in Sunday school, he used to just admire this family, that they would sing together and do all that. And deep down, he was like, my children
are going to sit and sing around with the piano with me.
Exactly. His picture of perfection and all that, that is it. And he has struggled to try and get his kids, So it's things like that. So this book is really about bringing to awareness those things. Because if we continue doing that, we are teaching our children to live with our fears. Then what happens? They soak it and they teach their children, and the cycle goes on and on.
And then that could be, because sometimes I think about generational things. That's where the pattern continues.
Exactly.
And I remember one person who referred to them as generational bad decisions. Sometimes we call them other things, but it's because bad decision. Now you're speaking to that because we've made a decision, and now it just continues generation after generation after generation.
Yes.
I should have had this conversation with you a long time ago, because one of the things my daughter tells me, Mom, I'm not gonna fear your fears. She's like,
nice.
She's like, that's what you fear, and you're teaching me fear, and I'm not going down that road.
Wow.
She's
smart girl.
She's very smart.
Yeah.
But she would say, and sometimes I say, but it's because you don't know life yet. That's my response. But she tells me, and she goes heading off into the light, and I'm like, oh my goodness, but she makes it. But she will always tell me, this is you. She'll tell me, this is your fear.
Yeah, and for her to have that self-awareness to actually call it out as your fear and not mine, that's really something.
Yeah, she's an amazing young woman.
Wonderful. So I know you were saying your daughter is 26. You said that, and this might be too late. But let me tell you, this book is about creating the right environment for a healthy relationship to be nurtured and to thrive. And so I tell parents, at whatever age your children are in, this, because it's about your interactions with your children at whatever age. And right now, of the last couple of weeks, last couple of months, I'm really getting into a space with parents of young adults who are struggling, and the principles are still the same, because it's really about how you are showing up as a person. And people who have gone through the program tell me I'm more nurturing as a boss. So it's not,
so it can affect and impact all areas of life.
As long as you are in a space where you are in, you have people that you are leading, you are modeling, you are, what's the word, mentoring? As long as you are in that space, because it's really about how am I reacting to situations. And maybe now I can get into why I wrote the book.
I want
Is that
you
okay?
to hold that thought.
Okay.
So we'll come back next week and discuss the why. Why you wrote the book and how you got into it. But I love the way that you've started. You've spoken straight to my heart. Wow, I hope you guys have enjoyed that. We'll see you next Thursday as we continue the conversation with Dr. Carol on parenting with a heart in mind. God bless you. Bye-bye.
Bye.